And before I offer up my final thoughts on our family in the unity and the unique special traits our family has, every family has its thing, something that makes that particular family special. Everybody has their own niches, or niches, however you say that correctly. So what I'm sharing, I'm not sharing as anything to brag about. And I'm also not saying that we didn't have our share of hard times and tragedies, and we are no different from any other family when it comes to the high highs, the low lows, and everything in between. As a matter of fact, sometimes when you're blessed, I believe the enemy targets you even more. So we probably have more, or have had more tragedies and more obstacles and burdens and stresses and trials than the average person. More is expected of you. To those much is given, much is expected. That's scripture. And when more is expected of you, more demand is put on you. And that's stress and pressure in and of itself to some level. So I never want to give anybody any impression that our lives are or ever have been easy, because they haven't been. Just like a lot of members of my family are in the entertainment world. And even though I refer to both the singers and musicians as musicians, I want to differentiate. The reason why I didn't initially differentiate was because the voice is an instrument. You have to learn how to tune it and how to play it, just like a external instrument. But for the sake of clarity, because there are many beautiful vocalists and singers in our family, internationally famous, some that even fall into the category of showbiz royalty. And a couple of them kind of gave me a side eye in terms of, you mentioned the musicians, but you didn't mention the singers. Well, I group you guys together. In my mind, a singer is a musician. But for clarity's sake, and no offense was intended, singers and musicians. We have multiple. But again, people look at people in the entertainment world as having the perfect life. And they get paid so much to do what they do, but they don't realize how much money has to go out for them to do it. You may earn, let's say 10 million at something. 60% of that you don't get. That goes to everybody but you. I'm not going to even go into detail. Then, what you actually receive, at least 50% of that, Uncle Sam takes. Some as much as 60. What you have left, you still have to give up something like 50 to 60% to the people who help you keep going and help keep your life running so you can do what you do. You would be surprised how many entertainers who are raking in the big bucks end up with little to nothing for all their labor and all their effort. Everyone else is making a ton of money off of them, but they themselves are not. Especially when it comes to the entertainers and actors and artists of color. It's even skewed worse towards them than other people in the industry. So I don't want to give any false representation in terms of life has been easy and I've lived on a cloud. No, I'm a warrior. I have fought more battles. I have more battle scars, and my armor has been scorched from walking through so many fires I can't even count anymore. We all are. However, having that sense of always having known who you are, that sense of, even if I make the biggest mistakes humanly possible, I'm not going to lose the love of the people who love me. It's fire. It's amazing. It is awesome. To know that you know that you know. No matter what, I'm loved. I will always be loved. And I will always have plenty of love within me, not only to fill me, but to fill me to overflowing so that I can freely give it to others. With the same non-conditional generosity, that same non-conditional pureness, beauty, light, spark, because it's all those things. And I miss my family. I am so looking forward to spending time with them and just being completely submersed. And some of my children have never met my family. So I need them to experience what I had the opportunity to experience in my life, that they know it's always there. And meet the family. And as I said before, it's up to our generation now, the last of our aunts. Have gotten much older. They're in their 90s. And we've got to step up to the plate, because I had no idea how rare what we had was. And I don't want to lose it. I don't want it to dissipate and become weaker and disappear through the generations. And this millennial generation is an odd one. And that's the politest way I can say it. They're being programmed and psychologically what's the word I want to use? Manipulated severely in ways that our generation never had to combat. And so it's even more vital and more important that we hold on to not just family traditions, but family itself. People are getting further and further apart, yet we can communicate more easily than we've ever been able to throughout all the centuries. A coldness, a callousness, an indifference has developed among all generations to the atrocities that are set right before us. They're not even trying to hide anymore the evil and the horrible things that they're doing. They're doing it right in front of our faces, and no one is saying a word. That's a problem. That's a massive problem. Divide and conquer has always been the oldest trick in the book. You get groups of people battling and bickering among one another. They're distracted and they're exhausted. When one group wins a battle over the other, the victor is easily taken out because they've already exhausted their resources, mentally, spiritually, and physically. So an outsider can sit back, wait for the battle to conclude, and take the winner with ease. People aren't paying attention to what's happening around us. Everybody saying, oh, we're in the last days and the great battle is about to begin any time now. Sweetie, it's already begun and it's been going on for a minute. Pay attention. You're expecting the types of battles that we've had in the past, and this is like none other. Pay attention. It's already begun. It is full throttle. We have to wake up. We have to be prepared for anything and everything that's to come. We're going to be dealing with things that we've never dealt before. Even the scriptures say, like none other before it. And if you read the scriptures, there was some, major upheavals and on a global scale. And the one that has already begun, that we are in, is going to make those look like a day in the park. All the more reason why people have to unite. Put all the petty stuff aside. Hold on to one another. Tomorrow has never been promised to anyone. But in these times, even more so, anything can happen at any time. And so, it's a good time to really sit back and evaluate what's important. What are your priorities? What do you hold dearest? What can you not live without? And start letting go of everything else. But back to the book that I'm working on. I want to show honor to women who were like mothers to me. Because honestly speaking, growing up with my cousins, we lived inside of each other's homes so much. Our mothers and aunts lived next door to each other. Sometimes they would have a house, and where I'm from, the houses were 3 stories. Each floor would be a different family. And then another one next door. Another one at the corner of the block. Another one down the street. So we spent as much time being mothered by our aunts as we did our actual mother. And so that same love, and my cousins, truth be told, most of my first cousins are as close to me as my brothers. And there's no differentiating for my love for them. Because I spent as much time with them as I did my own brothers growing up. They were as much a part of my life as my own siblings. And I want to show them honor and respect and let them know that their sacrifice wasn't in vain. And we so deeply and greatly appreciate the very treasured gift that they blessed us with. And I will forever be grateful to them, all of them. And on that note, I'm going to close.